Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. Johnny Bockelman with me right now. Um, we are still waiting to hear from Mr. Jim Brewer. We're really excited to talk to the Peacemaker tonight, but we haven't checked in with him thus far, so we may have to do the show out of order. Um, and then bring him in a little bit later on, hopefully. And then if there's been some sort of scheduling mishap where he can't join us, then we'll certainly get him right back on as soon as we can. But Jim has a 50-year legacy of thrilling drag racing fans with his Wheelstanders, and he's just unbelievable. I mean, I was actually talking to our dear friend Laura Bruderly before the show. Mark and Laura, two great photographers from the Midwest. She sent me tons of pics of all the various Jim Brewer cars. So I will go out and I'll add them here to the chat after the show. I'll also make sure that we have the drag list entries for all of Jim's cars because they are many and varied, and then we'll probably throw them up on Facebook as well, and with Laura and Mark's blessing, and thanks so much to them. So JB's with us tonight. As always, John will keep an eye on the chat line as we set up. He probably just sent you a note saying that we're getting started. So, John, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Well, doing great here, Bill, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Uh, Hope to see you on the live chat tonight. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to Bill and Eric and Jim.
It sounds great. Yeah, and Eric is the gentleman that's helping us get Jim for the show. So hopefully we can get that all lined up. We've also chatted with Kay Turkelson, who, of course, has been doing such a great job of getting us of various guests. So at this point in time, we don't have Jim with us. We're still working it. We're going to make some calls. While we do that, let's do our show a little bit of out of order. We've done this in the past. We haven't done it for a while, but we have the incredible JB's take as always, which typically happens towards the end of the show around 8:45 or something Eastern time. So let's go ahead and kick off with JB's take. I'm gonna step aside, let John do his thing, and see if I can find out what's going on with our guest and see if we can continue on with the fantastic Peacemaker show tonight. So while I do that, John, take it away, sir.
Thanks, Bill. I want everybody to know that I'm bringing back Racer of the Week. We're going to start next week, the 25th. We have a new Racer of the Week coming up, and I've got several lined up in the future. So we're really looking forward to having you guys back with us. And as for tonight, it's difficult for me to give this take. Throughout my life, I've only been able to find out less than a few things about my family, where we come from, who did what, who they were, and so on. But in the last week, a guy made a post on Facebook that showed my great great grandmother, where she lived, what she did. I will be grateful to this man for the rest of my life. My knowledge of my family went as far as my great grandfather and has stopped there. This was his mother. She was the matriarch of the Galveston Bockelmans. I can see the family resemblance in her face. She was Grandma Buell. I'd only heard her mentioned once when I was a kid, and I had no other data to learn from after that. My grandfather died when my father was 3 years old. For whatever reason, my dad and I had a distant relationship. He didn't seem to have the capacity for closeness with me. He paid for my education. He took me to my first drag race. He encouraged me to continue my music career when I had doubts about moving forward with it in the early 1990s. He saved my life in 2008 when I had to have surgery. He paid the bill. I paid him back. My sons loved him and he loved them, but there was a gulf between us that I never could cross. I asked him one time in the 1970s, I said, Dad, who do I look like? I'm the only guy in the whole family that's blonde. Where do I come from? He said, "You look like the milkman." I never forgot that. Fast forward to my last visit with him in 2011. He was 88 years old. He'd fallen for the umpteenth time and banged his head, and my stepsister and I took him to the doctor to have him examined for a concussion. We were all sitting in a room, and the doctor was giving him some cognitive tests. He said, "Raymond, can you tell me what day of the week this is?" Dad said, "Well, I don't keep track of those things anymore." He said, "Can you tell me what your wife's name is?" He said, "Muriel." He said, "Can you tell me who the President of the United States is?" Dad said, "I can't pronounce his name, but he's a fine young man." The doctor pointed at my stepsister and he said, "Can you tell me who this lady is sitting here?" Dad said, "Yes, that's my stepdaughter, Jackie." Then the doctor pointed at me and he said, "Can you tell me who this man is sitting here?" Ray said, "Yes, that's my dad." I said, "Well, now I know who I look like." I felt closer to him than I ever had in my entire life at that moment. It was the last time I was with him. 3 days later, he slipped into a coma and he passed away a couple of days after that. The last thing my dad said to me when I was leaving after that visit was, "I love you." For all the years that I felt like a distant relative to Ray Bockelman, that day resolved all the issues I had with him. I still don't know where Grandma Buell came from, but I know more than now than I ever did. My last name was Americanized over the generations, from von Bockelmann in the 19th century to just plain old Bockelman, and I've decided to leave it at that and go on with my life. My sons Kyle and Nick will carry it on. I owe my family much gratitude for what I have now. I'm doing what I always wanted to do, and I have family and friends who support my work. It's a wonderful party, and thank you. Back to you, BP. I think BP took a break. So I just want to say, everybody, stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way for us to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And we will see you next time with the Racer of the Week. God bless America. BP, you with us?
I am, man. Let me tell you what, brother, perfect timing because I just got off the phone with Jim's grandson, Eric Brooks.
Uh huh.
And unfortunately, Jim won't be able to join us tonight. He was it was a last minute thing, and they weren't able to get us the word.
Uh huh.
But one scoop I got from Eric, though, it'll thrill everybody, is that Jim did say one of the things he was going to drop on us tonight is that he's going to race for one more year. So I don't think, get out there to see him this year if you can. But I think what Eric just told me is Jim Brewer is going to race for one more year with the Peacemaker. So I think what we'll do is, we can chat about a couple of different things. We're turning it kind of into an open mic thing. If anybody's listening, and I hope a couple of you are, if you wanted to join us up here, we can kind of throw a phone number in the chat or something and come up and say hello. But I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of roll on with the rest of the show. Obviously, I won't be able to reschedule anybody at this point. And we will get Jim on as soon as we can. Now, Kay Turkelson's and our buddy Pete Moriel have been doing such a great job of lining up guests for us that it might be a month or two before we were able to get Jim Brewer back on. John, thought?
Yes, we have a post from Rich Panicaro, and he said Kay is doing an awesome job.
Amen to that. How about it?
Yes,
She's
sir.
rocking and rolling. So yeah, so we will get Jim back on, but but like I said, we got a scoop tonight. He's going to race at least one more year. And if you've never seen the Peacemaker, so here's something that I wonder if I could share. Well, I'm going to wait till the show. I think was I saying to John or was I actually saying it on the air? I want to thank Laura Bruderly the great Midwest photographer. She and her husband Mark have taken tons of photos of all the pro and semi-pro and sportsmen and exhibition racers in the middle of the country for so many years. But she sent me a ton of Jim Brewer photos right before the show. And man, oh man, when I tell you what, you've never seen something like some of these entries. You may have seen some of the pictures over the years. Folks who are younger probably have never seen these. Everything from Cadillacs to spaceships to, I mean, something resembling sort of like a dune buggy to the wild 33 Willies that John has on his outstanding poster. I think we'll pop those up a little bit later on. But unfortunately, we will not be able to visit with the Peacemaker tonight, but we're still going to have a little bit of a good time. We may not do the entire hour, but we'll see what happens. So, John, what was I was going to kind of talk about to get started, maybe the NHRA race yesterday. Any thoughts from you? Looks like we got Mr. Proc keeps on rolling. Mr. Kalita back in the winner's circle, and Greg Anderson looking pretty great up there in his hometown. What are your thoughts from the weekend? Were you able to catch the race?
Yes, I watched it. What really impresses me is the top speeds that they're getting. Uh, we have the racers are going over 340 miles an hour at 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Now, now this was like 20 years ago. Don Garlits said the they're going too fast,
Yeah.
and that's when they were just getting over 300 miles an hour in a quarter mile.
Right.
But no, I appreciate what they're doing, and I'm just thrilled to see those speeds. But at the same time, I'm concerned about them,
Yeah.
because you're getting into science fiction with this stuff now, and it's going past any, well, I would say any reasonable speed. But the idea is to win the damn race
Right.
and
Right.
get there first. So they're going to do it now. I appreciated Greg Anderson winning. He's second in the points, but he's right on the tail of Dallas Glenn
Yeah.
in pro stock, and I'm rooting for Greg. Greg is a great guy. They're all great people,
Yeah. You know,
but I'd like to see Greg come home with another championship.
I feel like the guy's always been right there, right? We're going back to the 2000s, and he was at the very top. He tracked on the drag list, of course, the world's
Mm-hmm.
quickest each year, right? And so he has been at the very, very top for a long, long time. Not every year, the Erica Enders years, Erica was untouchable there, or just sneaked it out for a couple of years and did such a great job. But he was racing in the WJ era. He was racing in across the eras. He was always kind of there, and he's still out there. You just got to give it to him. And when there's a ton of young, I mean, you're basically running like bracket racing reaction times in pro stock these days. I mean, and really all the categories. If
Yes,
you
they
can't get
are.
the light,
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. And the closeness of the ETs make that mandatory.
yeah.
Uh, for
They're all
instance,
within
yesterday,
a fraction of a second of each other,
yeah,
but it comes down to reaction time and and driving skill to get there first in that class. And that to me is it's the, well, I didn't keep up with the bracket cars,
hmm,
but I watched the pros,
yeah,
and I did notice that they're all pretty much anybody can win. It just depends on how good you can drive.
right. Yeah, we had a massive, and I love Jackie Frick, but oh my gosh, a massive hole shot in the final round of Top Alcohol Dragster, like 400s, which is almost unheard of. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a slower on the ET, but got the win. And I don't know if there's a mechanical issue. I didn't watch the race, so I wasn't able to see. I just saw the raw numbers come in last night, and I was like, whoa, that was
Yeah,
pretty
man.
wild.
They cut it down to the razor's edge. I mean, even Jag red lighted.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's always got double O reaction times if needed. Same
yeah,
with Erica and several of the others, man. It just comes down to just the razor's edge
right.
that they
Yeah,
can get.
going back, I know we jumped on Rakesh Khan, so I did want to chat a little bit about the speeds. What I find interesting is the speeds are ramping up, even to 343 now for Brittany. but the ETs are still mid 360s, which I'm not complaining. It's just I find it fascinating. And so the challenge, my question is, they must have been, and somebody who really knows nitro, and perhaps there's somebody on tonight who can kind of explain it, or someone in the super crew. But you know, it must be it's a different combo, right? I mean, I think, and I actually
Yeah.
think maybe it was at Mike Lewis who was on, or one of these folks from the JCM team recently was explaining, that they're, popping up a solid, not 10 more miles an hour, but certainly a solid 5 to 7 more miles an hour than they had before. Really, actually five, probably more like 7 to 10 miles an hour than they were running with the equivalent ETs over the last couple of years. So I find it fascinating that where the top speed was like 338, 337, 338, even in the quarter a couple years ago. But that 362 number is just seems like it's untouchable. And so that extra speed, and it just must be where it comes in. And again, I have to go read or watch our own shows because I do remember someone telling me something about this recently. But it's
I had,
fascinating that the
and
350s don't seem to be a thing yet, right, in the 1,000 foot,
that's,
although it as with everything, it's almost inevitable, right? So I guess that's probably the next big barrier. Who's going to be the first of the 350s?
I had the same thought, and with those great speeds that they're running and everything. I had the thought this morning while I was having my coffee. I thought, well, they got to do something about the ET because the ET is going to win the race.
Right,
It's not going to be the top speed, which is fantastic, but if you don't run quicker than the other guy, you ain't going to get that wally.
right.
And that's something. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for Alan Johnson and David Grubnick
Yeah.
and those teams. They are just fantastic. Jimmy Prock and Brian Hewson and so forth. That if if they can get the ET worked out,
Hmm.
the top speed doesn't matter. But
It's
those speeds
fascinating.
are great.
Yeah, because you can go 328 with about the same ET, right? So I'm just really fascinated at they always have come at it from different angles, right? The big cubic inch cars, say Pro Stock, for instance, they always out mile an hour. Cubic inches are a mile an hour because it's pure power. ET
Mm-hmm.
is chassis setup and on and probably RPM bands and hitting the shifts. But it's always pretty fascinating though.
Yes, it is.
Well, what do we got? Anybody with a thought out there in the super crew that, with Bill and John's ramblings that there's nothing here to respond to as far as
Yeah, Randy Johnston has made a couple of nice posts for us tonight. He said, for your information, a new YouTube video, Kurt Johnson track prep, a little
okay.
more than an hour long, but it's a must watch.
Wow.
And so I'm going to check that out, Randy. I'm glad you mentioned that to us.
Thanks. Help us understand. So tell them through another note. So what is it? Track prep techniques? Or, what are we watching for an hour on that sound? That's pretty fascinating. I'd love to hear about that.
But Randy just also said these extreme speeds and ETs are cool, but really limiting the field. Kurt Johnson estimated it costs about 7 million a season to run it. That's a
Wow.
good point, Randy.
Yeah.
Who's got that kind of money unless you have a major sponsorship behind it? And of course, a lot of those teams do. That's
Right.
it's not you can't just build something in your garage and go out and win top fuel.
Right.
That ain't
But
gonna happen.
the interesting thing is though they're running. We've said it a few times on the show, but they're running top fuel cars like with the ET spreads of in qualifying that they used to have pro stock cars. I mean, in the good old days, like we just had threw a picture of Jim Booker, the famous Chevy star, up on the Chevy Top Fuel Facebook page yesterday, and what his son Mike came up and said, hey, Jim was low ET at Indy that year, low qualifier at 609. And there were 85 nitro cars there, including Garlits and all the hitters, 85 car field. But I think, back in those days, a 609 probably went to, and there was a 32 car field as well, but it went to like a 670 or something. It's just like, They was always fabulous to watch, but it wasn't super, super close racing until maybe the later rounds, right? If then. And the Glidden days, for instance, in pro stock, when he would just drive around anyway, those Fairmonts, he would car length people, and while shutting off, it was pretty crazy, but
Hmm.
all kinds of interesting stuff. But did Randy come back with any thoughts on the what the Kurt track prep actually is?
Well, we have random posts going on. Rich Panicaro said, I sent a picture of my 68 CUDA to JB. Hope you like it. Well, you know what, Rich? I can make that a racer of the week if you want.
There you
You
go.
just let me know, and we'll put it in as a beautiful car. He just had it painted, and it's a wonderful street machine. Looks to me like it'd do just fine on a drag strip.
Oh, did Rich? So Rich used to run that Olds, right? The Cutlass. Is he converted to Plymouth now? Is that what the story is?
Yeah, he let that go. He says, okay, he's talking about Jackie Frick. He says she's a great driver and has been for years, and that's
She
true.
is indeed. Yeah, she's
But yeah,
amazing, and also an amazing. Her day job is travel agent as well. So
hmm
Jackie got me my tickets to the West Coast. That's who got me all signed up with my hotel and everything for the last race at starts with an I. Like it's losing at the Nitro Revival, Irwindale, of course. So thanks to her for that. But she's amazing, and between trying to chase the championship, which she achieved, right, and run a business, that's a heck of a thing. That's how all these racers are.
I didn't check to see if she won yesterday. Did she win?
She was in the final. She was a runner up to the McPhillips team, and that's where
Oh,
that whole shot came in that I was talking about. So I hate to bring that up, Jackie. Sorry, buddy.
well,
But
congratulations to her. And Rich, like I say, man, that CUDA. Now, Randy just said it is a whole lot of items. He does much more than drag racing, including NASCAR and surfacing of many different surfaces. He's talking about Kurt Johnson.
okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, yeah. So
Now,
um, um
is this the same Kurt Johnson that was a pro stock racer?
yeah, is it KURT? If that's the
KURT,
case,
yeah.
I reckon it is. It's WJ's son. The
Hmm.
first man, by the way, and the first person in the 6 second zone in NHRA Pro Stock, as we all remember back in the late 90s, or perhaps some of us do remember. Pretty cool stuff. Let's go through while we talked about the pros, let's go through the other folks. I'll run through like what happened yesterday really quick. And Doug Kalita, 367 and 338, which is like, pedestrian now.
Wow.
Beat Clay Millican, who broke. Austin Park took out J.R. Todd. And pro stock was Greg Anderson over Dallas Glenn. Very close race. Top alcohol dragster Anthony Troyer running for the McPhillips team. 524 over Jackie Frick's 521. So yikes. But sorry, Jackie, had to mention it. Top alcohol funny car Sean Bellemere was over 545 over Bob McCosh at 547. Comp eliminator was Matt Harris in a Grand Am taking on Callie Neff in a dragster, and Matt came away the winner. Superstock was Jason DeForest in a Chevy Cavalier over Len Schneider in a Ford Thunderbird. Stock eliminator Ryan Hutar in a Camaro over Joe Santangelo, also in a Camaro. Super Comp, which JB just said he didn't race, didn't watch. Brian Johnson in a dragster over Bob Pros, also in a dragster 893 to 896, running the number. Super Gas was Jason Kenny over Trevor Larson. Super Street, Donnie Durenberger over Scott Cowles. And top sportsman Michael Chitty and a Cobalt, Chevy Cobalt 664 over Jim Thorpe and a Camaro at 643. Remember, you got to dial the number even in top sportsman. Those are like numbers that Pro Mods would love to have run years ago. Top dragster Mark Graham ran a 673 over Holden Laris, and his dragster at 612, 225, almost close to breaking out. Pardon me. And Top Fuel Motorcycle, the man himself, Larry McBride, 588, shutting off at only 126 over Mitch Brown, who broke his Suzuki. Man, the hits keep on coming. Mountain Motor Pro Stock, John DeFlorian Jr., who we have had on the show, won over Mike Coughlin. Look at that, Mike Coughlin in a Camaro and Mountain Motor. John DeFlorian running a 632. Pro Outlaw Snowmobile, Edwin Werble in a Sidewinder went a 492.7 over Louis Werble. Oops, looked like a couple of brothers or a father and son or something, or cousins or something at a 491.8. Looks like a nice whole shot win there for Edwin. I'm assuming those are on the eighth. I'm almost confident. And a junior dragster shootout, Tyler Reynolds beat out Jack Butler. So congrats to everybody. As John was saying, the standings as of now. Let's see where we had that here a moment. We'll go to the standings for NHRA. Top Fuel Langdon number one at 1,044 points. Tony Stewart number two. Scott Kalita 6 points back. Sorry, Doug Kalita, my mistake. 6 points back at 993. Justin Ashley at 911. Brittany Force, who kills him in performance, but sometimes doesn't have the consistency. Followed by Antron Brown, Clay Milliken, Josh Hart, Steve Torrance, and Sean Reed. In Funny Car, Austin Prock leading everybody. Jack Beckman, number two. His teammate Matt Hagan, Ron Capps, Paul Lee, J.R. Todd, Daniel Wilkerson, Spencer Hyde, Alexis DeJoria, and Bob Tasca round out the top 10. And in Pro Stock, Dallas Glenn, 1,146 points, and Greg Anderson, 1,137, 9 points back. Matt Hartford, Corey Reed, which is nice to hear. Corey Reed doing great this year, fourth in points. How about that, guys? Aaron Stansfield, Eric Latino, Jeg Coughlin, Greg Stanfield, Cody Coughlin, and Derek Kramer rounding out the top 10. So pretty amazing stuff in NHRA this year. Just super tight fields. John, what do you got for us?
Well, I was kind of concerned, but not a whole lot that Steve Torrance hasn't showed up. He sat out the last couple of races, and I'm thinking if there isn't anything personal about it, that he's probably just going to wait until the U.S. Nationals and the countdown to come back because he's already in the top 10.
Yeah, well, I think they're working hard down on the oil fields, right? Him and Pops.
Mm-hmm.
And because Billy's coming out, I think was he? I don't think he was at. Well, I'm not sure. Did you see Billy Torrance at Brainerd,
Yeah,
or is he
Billy,
waiting on Indy?
I think he got to the semifinals yesterday.
Ah,
He was there, but Steve wasn't there. And hey, they're an independent team more or less, and
right.
I expect that they decided to save a few bucks and just run the U.S. Nationals and go through with the countdown from there.
Yeah, only got
Because,
nothing to prove. I mean, they beat the world a couple years, two, three times. That
mm-hmm.
they're pretty awesome. So it's a sponsored man's game. I say a rich man's game. That's a little bit of that, but certainly a sponsored man's game as well. It's a crazy, crazy way to spend a bunch of money.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
John,
for sure.
anything from the folks out in the chat? Want to join, rock on with a little more conversation?
Well, Pete Moriella's with us in Los Angeles tonight, and of course, I mentioned Randy and Rich.
Yeah.
David
Hey
Gates
guys.
is here. He said hello,
Hey
JB and
David.
BP.
David doing, out there rocking and rolling with the Jet Dragster, doing a great job. So
Yes, he is.
following along closely.
Absolutely. Well, at the moment, we're caught up on the chat board, so it's we're open for anything, folks. Y'all just tell us
Yeah.
what's on your mind, and we'll talk about it.
Heck yeah. We'll toss something in there, guys. So we will let me go on to some of our other segments. We may end up a little bit early tonight. So unfortunately, and folks, if you joined late, unfortunately, Jim Brewer was not able to join us tonight. Something came up there in the family, and we will get back at Jim as soon as we can. But we did hear from his grandson, Eric, who said, one piece of news is that Jim said he's going to run another year. So you can catch the Peacemaker this year if you're lucky enough, and uh, and then maybe even next year at one of the tracks. So he's been out there for 50 plus years, folks, thrilling the crowds all over the Midwest and everywhere else. And if you also missed this, Mark and Laura Brutally Photography sent me a bunch of great photos of the various cars that Jim has driven over the years, and I'll be posting those to the chat area here and on YouTube and also up on Facebook. And then I'll probably throw those in the notes and we'll talk a little bit about each one of those when we do get Jim back on. And it's going to be a bit because Kate Turkelson's been going crazy and Pete Moriel as well. So while we're moving on, let me go up to our upcoming guests. So August 16th. But next Monday night, or August 18th, rather, sorry, next Monday night, we're going to visit with Ken Younggreen. Ken, really talking about taking hot rodding back to the ways that it used to be. Has built a home-built, supercharged Viper-powered dragster. I mean, yeah, the big muscle car Viper motors, the Chrysler Viper, and so or I guess Dodge Viper, but to me, Mopar is a Mopar, but don't, I guess my Mopar friends might fight me on that, but that's next Monday night so, if you got any techie friends, bring them along because if you want to talk about high tech, Ken Younggreen's going to bring it, having built nearly every bolt on that thing. And I've seen pictures of it on Facebook and elsewhere. It's pretty cool. So looking forward to having Ken on. September 1st, we're going to take off for Labor Day, so we'll all be watching Indy and having a good time. So, but on September 8th, Johnny West, a legendary funny car racer and tuner, will be joining us on just one of the best guys to ever put a nitro funny car down the track safely, cleanly, and consistently. So Johnny West is going to be a great guest, and looking forward to talking to him on the 8th of September. On the 15th, I have a work event downtown in the DC area. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do the show. So we'll have a night off there. But on the 22nd, we're going to be visited by Chico Kodama from Moon Eyes, that fantastic company that with the hot yellow cars with the big old eyes. And they've have a long and storied career in drag racing and on the salt flats. And really looking forward to talking to Chico. On the 29th, Dina Paris, the spicy meatball pro mod world champion from years past with her Chrysler powered uh, um, or her Cadillac powered thing. Wait, I got Pete Moriel calling me, so let's see how we do. Let's see if I can make this work. Pete, this is Bill. Can I hear you online? Whoops. Sorry. Tried to answer Pete. That was Pete calling. Hey, Pete, give me another call. We'll give it a shot. Um, so that's the 29th. Dina Paris is going to be on the show. October 6th, Dave Gallegos, the Nitro Clone Nostalgia Funny Car. And here's Pete. Let's see if we can hear Pete. Hi, Pete.
Hey, Pete.
That's the 29th. Dina Paris is going to be on the show. October 6th, Dave Gallegos. Oh, I can hear now. I hear myself in the background. Is that Pete's phone?
Yeah, I was calling you, not for myself because I'm a boring individual, but I was trying to get and
Oops, we lost Pete.
BP, I thought I'd mention.
Yeah, hang on. Pete, we lost you off the computer, but I'm going to put you up next to the mic. So tell us what you had to say.
Oh, I was trying to see if I don't know if you were getting ready to end the show. I was trying to get you an instant guest. I guess we could call it that. I was trying to call Andy Morocco.
Yeah.
And he owns the Street Legal Dragway there in Paris at the Paris Racing Facility.
Okay.
Basically, what it is, it's a 330-foot track. And it's hard to get in trouble in 330 feet. It's no prep. They're open every other Saturday. And then it's a lot of fun because anything pretty much can go and run there. You don't have to be a street legal. You could be a dragster altered or something. You don't have to have mufflers either. It could be loud. And it's just 330 feet, 2 lanes. They have a port-to-tree timing system, and it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Mike English and I went down there a couple of weeks ago just to check it out, and it was a lot of fun. Everybody there was having a good time.
I'm in.
But I was trying to get him as a guest for you in the future show. He said he would do it, but since you lost your guest tonight, I was trying to give him a call. I can call him back and see if he answers. I just got his answering machine. I don't know how long you're going to take the show tonight.
Well, thank you, Pete, and thanks for calling in. Appreciate you, brother. We're kind of towards the end anyway, so I know I would want to give Andy his full, some full talking time. But I appreciate you calling. And you got it.
Well, like I said, I was trying to get him as an instant guest for you, but he didn't answer. So that shot didn't hit.
You're always looking out. Well, we got your guy next week, as we've indicated, or we were telling folks a little bit ago. You got a joke for us all while we got you on? Something that we
Not that I can go over the air.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Mariello.
I can give you a stupid joke.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What did one hot dog say to the other hot dog?
I don't know what.
Hi, Frank. There you go. About as dumb as I can get. I think I knew that joke since grade school.
That's a dad joke. Dad jokes rock.
Yeah, anyway.
All right. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate you calling in, man.
All right. I'm always listening, whether I do it live or after the show. So
all right.
You've had some great guests on the show and great interviews.
Thank you, Pete.
So we'll try to keep that going for you.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to it. All right. We'll see you down the road.
I'll see you in November.
That's right. I'm coming out. We're going to do it. Right. We're going to hit it.
John to come out with you.
Yeah. Come on, John. We'll make it happen. We'll do something. All right, brother. See you later, Pete.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Pete Mariello reaching out. I love it. So, John, we'll go through the October guest here in a moment. Anything from the chat while Pete was chatting?
Well, yeah, I was sorry to interrupt you because you were giving us the upcoming guests and everything, but Kay Thurkelson showed up, and
hey, Kay.
she's with us right now. It's great to have her with us. And Laura Bruderly.
Laura.
She said, thank you for the shout out on the photos.
Well, thank you for the photos. People, you're going to love them. And Laura's amazing. By the way, Laura is if you guys check out our Animal Jim Foyer Facebook page, Laura was the instigator for that. She said, Bill, you got to put one of those up for Animal Jim. And this was, gosh, I don't know how many years we've been. I just went over to the anniversary for it. I can't remember which one it was, but it must be even number because but Animal Jim's awesome. We text every day. How lucky am I to have Animal Jim Foyer as a pal? And thanks to Laura for that, and also for these great Jim Brewer photos that I will share right after the show. So appreciate you being here, my friend, and see you down the road. Let's go on then to our October guest. Once again, Dave Gallegos coming on October 6th with the Nitro Clown. Steve Macklin. Now, here's two people we're announcing for the first time tonight. Steve Macklin, the Nitro Fuel Funny Car Racer, is coming on the 13th of October. So looking forward to have Steve on from Salt Lake City. Guess who invited him? And on the 20th of October, Kai Michelson, the Rocket Man, returns. We've had Kai Michelson on the show before, but it might have been back when we were racing and rocking with Draglist.com. I can't remember. It's probably we still call it that on the front page of the website, by the way, folks, if you click that link, and it takes you to this show. But really a great guest. As you can see live, we heard Mr. Moriello trying to get us a new guest, but looking forward to that. And of course, Kate Turkelson out there taking care of us week to week. With that, let's go on. I do have a couple of names. I did want to talk about those we lost, folks. One of the great names in fuel racing in Southern California. Of course, we were off last week, so we weren't able to get him mentioned then. But Roger Wolford passed away on the 7th of August. Now, Roger Wolford, you'll remember, if you don't remember the name, you'll remember the cars. But he goes back to 1962. He ran with the Leffler and Wolford dragster. Of course, the great Neil Leffler, some of these great Southern California names. Ran the Lenarth and Wolford dragster. Now, Lenarth should be starting to give you a hint at some of the cars he drove later. He drove the Barlag and Wolford dragster, and he drove for the Beaver Brothers. But when he really started to make a name for himself, I mean, in the magazines and stuff, is when he came out in 1966 with the Secret Weapon Jeep funny car. And just unbelievable. As it wasn't even called a funny car then. Back then, it was called a factory experimental S slant XS. Kept driving the dragsters, doing a great job there. But the Secret Weapon was pretty much just everybody just fell in love with that military styled funny car, the with the open top that he drove. And of course, they've there was the Holy Toledo that they built as well. So there's a couple of them out there, but the Secret Weapon was the great Roger Wolford. And uh, and then he also went on to drive the Mako Shark Corvette, another very famous funny car. He drove the Wild Breed Mercury Cougar, and he also took a stint in Jack Chrisman's Ford a single overhead cam Mustang. So Wolford was doing it all, and threw out a very amazing 60s and into 70, and just one of the great names that we remember from the mags back then. So farewell to Roger Wolford, passed on the 7th. I'm so sorry to his family and many, many friends. Also on the 16th of August, we lost Don Kennedy, super stock racer, 2019 Indy US Nationals class champ. Just a terrific sportsman racer, and a lot of love for both these gentlemen up on the internet. That's really it for tonight. That's our list, but our condolences to the family and many friends of these great racers. And guys, thanks for the thrills over the years. Um, that takes us to our pretty much turning it over to John again. John, any final thoughts from the super crew, and any thoughts from you?
Yes, I have appreciated everybody on the chat board tonight. Y'all hung in there with us, and we pretty much improvised, overcame, and adapted tonight.
That's
So,
right, babe.
and,
What's that Clint Eastwood movie where,
it was a fun show. We're looking forward to having Jim Brewer back with us when he
yeah,
can make it, and next week, we'll be right back with the same show, and hope to see everybody here with us.
that's right. Same bad time, same bad channel. It's not live, it's Memorex. But we're going to go through all those things tonight. But thank you, John. Appreciate it. And folks, we do want to, I want to thank Eric, who was, Eric Brooks is his name, who was keeping us up to date on Jim. And sorry we couldn't have Jim on tonight, but we definitely look forward to getting him back on. Thanks to Eric for the scoop that Jim plans to drive one more year. So if you see the Peacemaker on the poster, when you go to the drags, make sure you go see him and get an opportunity to watch one of the wildest showmen in drag racing history. And I can't wait to get him back on. Miss K, we'll work with Eric and see what we can do about getting him back on. And also Andy Morocco just found out from Pete Moriello live on the air that he's going to try to get him together. And we have talked about that in the past, so we'll nail down the dates. I want to thank my brother John Balkman wearing the black Super Crew, perhaps my favorite. I don't know. I like them all, but we'll have to do a rerun of those one of these days. Kate Turkelson, who's just amazing. See her all over. She's all over Facebook and doing live reporting. And Pete Mariello, thanks, who we got to hear from live tonight, which was amazing. Rob McCabe, just tossing the data into the drag lists. Appreciate that. David Oakes, who, by the way, has just been putting up amazing photo reviews on the front page of Draglist and on Facebook. Thanks to David. Mel Bashir, the great 50s era cars. Ron Toombs, who always goes in there and makes a lot of edits. And John Mernon the second, who has been putting some classic photography shots up for us on the drag list. Of course, thanks to Jeff Gilder, who got us started way back when. And thanks in heaven to Danny White. I haven't put up my Danny White picture and my JB and Danny White picture. Let me do that real quick. We will always end the show with the three amigos here, the guys who used to do this thing together. Danny used to do the show, if you remember, way back when. He would always do a Danny's top 10, and it was always interesting. And he always had a reason for it. He wrote it up. But thanks to Danny, our buddy up in heaven, taking good care of us as always. Um, let's I should say click the like, click the share button down below, click the little subscribe Draglist logo for your friends. If you're seeing this on the recording, hey, we do it there as well. And you can like and click and all that good stuff and share from a recording as well. So with that, I think we made it through. Check it, man. 8:48. We nearly went, a whole hour and 48 solid minutes. Thanks to the super crew on the chat and Pete calling in and it's finding luckily they had a national event yesterday. We may not have had anything to talk about, but always appreciate you guys and gals. You're our buddies, you're our family, and we love you all. So we'll see you next Monday night, August 25th, for Ken Younggreen, as we find out how Ken put together that amazing Viper-powered blown dragster. Until then, on behalf of John and the rest of the crew, have a great week.